Okay, y'all, this is Why Not Show Love, episode 19, and we're doing it different. Our production boss, Big Fat, is out, so I am tasked with the task of doing this myself. So, I'm using a mic and kind of going over the freestyle cooking, and I guess today's topic is going to be just going with the flow because that's what I'm doing. I feel like switching up the content is great. And I'm mixing this with some of the freestyle cooking, which has been there, so be a little more in depth. So instead of rice, I'm using this risotto, which is basically chickpeas and red lentil. I got some greens over here, and then I got some stuff from the garden. And then this right here was using what I got, which were the beets. You got to cook these long so they get kind of tender. Then I cooked the radish now instead of just raw with the salad, and then put some piece of squash in there, and there's the finished risotto, kind of risotto rice. Now I'm gonna add some tomato sauce, and then the stuff from there. This shit is a little bit rough to do with one hand. Jesus. Alright, y'all vloggers put in some work. So freestyle cooking is kind of like I think I'm more lazy to. I don't want to use a recipe because recipes, I feel like every time I use a recipe it takes so long. And now what it is that I'm doing is I rather cook than. It's weird, I'm too lazy to do takeout, so I rather cook. And then also when you buy like organic stuff, this shit goes bad pretty quick. I also season with fennel, black pepper, and pink sea salt, and then I'm gonna add some stuff in there. So I guess on today's episode, I'm just like going with the flow. We cleared out some stuff. I'm gonna send another clip of that. I had some stuff in the studio for about 10 years with my old studio partner. He moved out to the city, got married, doing his thing. Shout out to my man Brady, aka Mind Power. And he moved some of the gear, which was a vintage Rhodes, vintage ARP keyboard, a vintage guitar amp, nice tube amp. I missed that one. The Rhodes need a little bit work, and he took what else? Another keyboard, but I'm using VSTs and a MIDI control. You could see the studio down there a little bit, and then I'm making room for a guitar rack that he gave. So that's it in terms of that. So I feel this connects fully to letting go, which was another thing that we went over, and also it just connects moving with the flow. And that's the same thing what freestyle is for me. I know I'm natural at improv, so I consider myself a jazz guy. Definitely came up with hip-hop, but when I saw like New York jazz, especially like that Charlie Parker, Miles Davis stuff and all of that, it really connected with me. And this right here is me freestyling an episode and doing all this shit together. All right, hopefully this one connects. So this is scallions, this is basil, this is some cilantro from the garden just to mix in with the tomato and the vegetables. And the risotto acts kind of like a pasta, but I do my best to stay away from the gluten and get it popping. So once again, freestyle cooking, freestyle vlogging. This is a double entendre freestyle. And yeah, I'm going in there now. Turn the heat back up. Mix this stuff in there with the sauce. And I had some leftovers. If you check out the other episode, I really don't know how people shoot themselves. Now I get why it's like a suicide thing. But I'm getting through with this. You normally I think a little bit more about what I'm gonna say, but I'm just like, nah, you know what? This is good just to go with the flow and show y'all a little bit of, right? Day of. The vlog is there, and I have some leftovers, which is some stuff I had cooked before. The okra. So I'm gonna mix this in, and then the chickpeas. Add this last since everything's already cooked. This was cooked before. So yeah, the beets first once again. Just a couple scoops of this okra. This is okra, lightly seasoned, not too heavy. And what I know going with the flow too, it's so much harder to cook for one person, right? So I realized like we're naturally abundant. We're always meant to give. We're always meant to do what we do. You get it popping, and because it's just so hard to cook for one person, so I'll cook the same thing and eat it twice. It's kind of how I've been doing these last couple days, doing that. So also adding in some chickpeas. Scoop them in there. These are already cooked once again. And just let them mix in. This shit might be terrible because I don't know how this is gonna flow with the tomato sauce, but it's a different flavoring, and this is gonna act as, I guess, some form of pasta rice. I also know that for me, going with the flow. Oh yeah, shout out to Sims. I went to my first jam session, so I'll talk about that. I normally spit and rhyme. That's kind of how I came up, but I've been playing guitar for years now, by myself mostly, and of course with friends. But when you're in the studio, you get to listen to the 4-bar loop. You're in your own world. But when you compose with other people, or you're jamming with other people, like they'll all go in, and these are all seasoned players. Shout out to my man Sean Lewis. Shout out to the drummer. Shout out to my man Snacks on drums. Just a bunch of heads, and like these cats, they play. So for me, it was such a high to switch from just doing what I normally do to getting out my comfort zone. And yeah, I definitely hit a couple bum notes, but I made it out. You know what I mean? I'm alive, and I'm ticking, and it inspires me to go further. And now we're looking into maybe a commercial space in Ridgewood, so I'm gonna invest in that, because I think this COVID thing has got my travel dubbed. I have been thinking of moving to Germany if I can get an artist visa to Berlin, but that's on hold. We're even banned from there right now. So that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm just going with the flow, but Sims hit me up about the space, so I'm looking into the space. And just like how I'm cooking, I'm debating, should I dump this stuff in there? Nah, you know what? I always do that. I'll keep this on the side. So yep, now it's pretty cooked. I don't know if the angle caught that. And I'm just going with the flow. So same thing, the way I started the studio out here, the space station, it was going with the flow with a bunch of my musician friends and artist friends. I was definitely, I came up as an MC. I went to audio school. And then, my friend moved back to New York, so we crashed at my spot for a while, in my folks' basement, and then, we just built a studio, and then I formed bands. Once again, I was not writing the music, I was kind of sampling beats and giving it to the band to replay, but now I've been just producing my own compositions and arrangement, and, the last couple years, shout out to my man Oni, the original Why Not Show Love crew, and Ayano. I was working with people, but I had to trust myself. So it's a lot about that. Let me see how long this shit is. Bang. Alright, we're about there, guys. I think that's enough time. But yeah, so it's just going with the flow, and there's always something to do. And I'm just figuring it out as I work on this music, as I work on everything one step at a time. Hopefully the audio came out good. I am using a mic. And last little secret ingredient I'm going to freestyle in the cooking is some hemp hearts. Good way for protein, So throw a little bit of this in there, bada bing, you know what I mean? And then, I've also been kind of getting away from just doing the standard like garlic onion seasoning. So just flipping up the seasoning and seeing what it is. So I think a good way I can end this is I'll plate this sucker, see what it is. And then, this is so much for just me, so I don't even think I can do the side salad. Normally, this would be good for 2, I think. 2. And then you rock out like that. Okay, so I'm going to lower the heat, grab a plate. I'll even switch up the plate today. Okay, so that's it. So I'm over here improvising, but it's like jazz improvisation where I study a lot, but then you study so that you don't have to know what key it's in. That's what I learned at the jam session. I was like, okay, what key is it? And these motherfuckers change keys like crazy. They'll switch it up. And you just gotta find your space and rock with that space and let it be. So trust in the process. You know, I always say improv, create a lane for yourself. And you know, a big thing I'm gonna give myself credit for is just not being scared, you know. Actually, I should say for going through it, I was scared. I was like, oh shit, but like, come on, the truth is nobody gives a fuck, man. It's up to you. It's worse in your head than it is in real life. And from that being said, you know, you gotta challenge yourself to grow. You're never gonna grow if you just stay doing the same shit. So, you know, I've been rhyming, I've been engineering, I've been making beats. So like playing instruments, singing, doing this shit, it's just a natural evolution. And I want to thank the younger generation. You know, the younger generation, they'll come out, they don't even know how to rap, and they'll spaz out and they'll do something from the heart. So it's a balance of like trusting in the process, but also like being fearless, you know. So shout out to all, I'm an 80s baby, shout out to all the 90s babies. I'm in 2000, you know, if you're born in the year 2000, you're 20 years old now, you know. So if your birthday passed, right? And then that's gonna be it right here. Freestyle cooking vlog episode 19. What's the name of this shit? Go with the flow. I'll call it that. Bang, there you go.